Coder?
Here.
Ms. Heffley?
Here.
Mr. Helwig?
He's coming, by the way. He texted me and said he's on his way.
Thank you. Noted. Mr. Sisiani?
Here.
Mrs. Viscusi?
Here.
Mr. Viscusi? Mrs. Washner?
Here.
The mayor has had me informed that he will not be here due to work issues. And Solicitor Ricus.
Here.
Okay, are there any visitors who wish to speak? If you can step up to the podium, state your name and address, write it on the register. You have 5 minutes at this time of the meeting, and then at the end of the meeting, you will have 2 minutes. So if you could please step up to the podium if you have anything to contribute.
Hi there. How are you doing? My name is Michelle Cooper.
Could you write down?
Hi. And I'm here on behalf of the committee for the 6th grade field trip for 2014. And we would like to request of council, we're doing a fundraiser, and we'd like to request, we're going to have a pool. And we'd like to request a waiver of the fees for the entrance and the lifeguard fees to maximize the fundraising potential for the kids at the school. Last year, the committee did this, and it was a success, and we wanted to continue the tradition, and they requested you all if we could. We have it scheduled tentatively for August 18th, from 6:30 to 8:30. There's about 55 kids in the class this year, smaller size than last year, but we think that we'll have a little bit farther to go with fundraising. I think this year because we have fewer students. So that, in a nutshell, was my request.
I know that it's a motion. Jim, you have something to add to that?
Yeah. Doing a little bit of research on that, there would have been costs for the lifeguards, our front desk, and refreshments. You agreed to do your own collection of tickets.
We have.
You're going to make your own refreshments.
Yep.
Which would leave the lifeguards, and I have 2 sponsors for that.
Awesome. Thank you.
So there would be no cost to that, because actually the borough policy, I don't believe we do give total.
We do not. We don't waive all the fees. But are we going to be voting for just the use of the pool, or is that
It's
also?
a simple scheduled event.
We have it on our schedule on the calendar reserved.
Okay.
It's scheduled from 6:30 to 8:30. School closes at 6.
Okay.
And Mario will be there.
Oh, she will.
Yes.
Okay. So do we even have to vote on that? Or do we have to vote on the use of the pool?
I don't think we need to vote on that because it's just.
You're saying there's no cost to the borough?
It's no cost.
So the fees would be
We do not, for lifeguard, for the ticket taker, for refreshment
and
stand.
they're taking care of all of that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd still do a motion just to authorize the actual use of the pool,
Yeah.
since it's outside of operating hours.
I'll make a motion similar to that effect.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other visitors wish to speak? Okay, no other visitors wish to speak. Thank you for coming this evening. We appreciate your time. Do we have a motion to approve the payment of the July bill list?
I'd like to make a motion to pay the July bill list.
Motion has been made and seconded to pay the July bill list. Any comments on that? All those in favor say aye. Nays? Excuse me, roll call please.
Thank you. Mrs. Bromwich?
Here,
Yes. Mr. Cabela? Mrs. Coder? Ms. Heffley? Mr. Sisiani? Mrs. Viscusi? Mr. Viscusi? And Mrs. Washington?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Reports, the mayor is not present, however, we have his report as part of the packet. Any questions on it? Comments?
Orlowski at the committee meetings, asking for use of Bain Park for the week of July 7th. We talked about giving them an area just behind the basketball courts. I'm sorry, behind the
State Plaza.
State Plaza, I'm sorry. Instead of the whole week, he emailed me today to inform me that they only need it Saturday, July 13th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So just want to constantly note that they don't see any activity that schedule. That concludes my report.
Any questions for DAS? How's our regular audit going? They should be done with that, and we should be close to getting a report.
Yeah,
You thought
I believe the field work is finished. It was finished prior to my coming in.
Not liquid fuels,
Okay.
not that one, our regular audit that we have every year.
I don't know if I'll have that prepared for committee.
Well, we'll check to see, by this time, we usually get a preliminary, and usually in August, everybody gets a copy of it.
I will sign check.
Okay, thank you. Yes? Engineer, do you have anything additional?
Just
Ron Rusnak, by the way.
just to follow up from the pre-council meeting, if you have any questions for me with respect to the feasibility study, that portion of the feasibility study that I passed out, I'll be available in my office or after the meeting here to talk about it. Remember, we have to submit this by the 31st of this month. So unless there are any questions, I don't have anything else.
Do we have that, we have it as a motion? Okay, 1613, so, okay. Any questions for our engineer? James?
Yeah, in our new package, there's, it looks like a payment that they're asking for the skate park. Should that be on the agenda?
Or is it mentioned?
Yes, and the amount on that is $33,735.62.
Bain Park.
There it is.
If you recall, we were waiting for that invoice to come in at the pre-council meeting, we received it, and we forwarded our recommendation on that invoice.
Any questions for John? Thank you. Christine? And just, as he pointed this out to me, and I thought I would just mention this to everyone, if you really wanted to look at a summary of it, look at section 7.5, which is on 7-10, and then the operation and maintenance part of the actual summary is on page 711. If you read that, you'll get a good idea of a summary of the entire report, so if you wanted to read that in your spare time. Library, our librarian's not here, okay. Council reports,
Oh, Mrs. Foster, have I missed my moment?
you know what you did, if you wait, I will ask for you,
Okay, thank you.
and I had it down here too, just bad job. Jane, you have a report?
Yeah, I do. I have a 4th of July report. After everything was said and done, we had spent $1,022, so we had $75 in gift cards, so we came to $947 for the whole entire 4th of July, and I'd like to do some thank yous. Joe's Rusty Now, Sam's Club, Lincoln Bakery, McDonald's, Booth and Services, Assumption, Mike Paytech, the DPW crew, Ron RDAS, Ann Moss, she was big help, Terry Howe, Jack Madden, Cindy Phelps, Kathy Halligan, Linda and Ron Washner, Jeremy Stephen Scuzzi, Mark Helwig, Mike Ron, and Connie Rankin. So I'd like to thank all of them. We only have 3 weeks to put this together. And then did it?
You didn't forget anybody.
I know we didn't forget anybody, but we had a good time. It was 3 weeks we had to put this together, so this was the group that put it together for us.
And I do want to mention Jim Siciliani, I don't know if you, yes, he contracted with the clown. So, thank you. I mean, it took a lot of people to pull this off. So, and I really appreciate it. would like to ask Scott Keener if he would step up. He is the president of the Tri-Boroughs, and he's going to give us an update of what's been going on.
Thank you. My name is Scott Keener. I live in Benham, and I chair the Joint Planning Commission.
Oh, is that what it's called? I can't try
This is not an official report, but it's been long enough since we've been able to get an official report up here. I thought it prudent for me just to sort of give you an update of what it is we're doing for two reasons. The two things that I want to let you know that are the biggest on our plate right now. So what we do is we create, maintain, and implement a comprehensive plan. Our joint comprehensive plan was adopted, I think, back in '04. I want to say the fall of '04. And part of the state mandate for planning commissions is that every 10 years that be updated. So we're coming up due sometime next year. We're going to have to present you and Avalon and then with the revised comprehensive plan. And what we're doing right now is, in preparation for that, is trying to make a determination as to how much work that would be. We're anticipating that it's not going to be a whole lot of updates. We can't say for sure until we really get into a study. And what our deadline is we need to make a determination as to whether it's going to cost us any money. Because if it is, then we'll be coming to you before you set your budgets for 14 and asking you to allocate some money for, if we need planning assistance, for example. We're going to have to come in front of you and ask you to allocate some money. So that's why I'm coming to you now, to sort of give you a heads up for what's coming down the road. The second thing is, in implementing that comprehensive plan, we came up with a joint zoning ordinance that the three boroughs now share. Over time, certain there are errors and things that we've discovered, inconsistencies, contradictions, and things that we're trying to get fixed, and those have been happening over time. In order to fix those, however, it's actually an amendment to the ordinance, and that has to come to, again, all three councils have to approve that. It has to be a public hearing. We did it already with the airport overlay.
Yes, we
did. And what we want to do is get this all to happen at the same time. We've been gradually doing those corrections with the assistance of the solicitor. Their time has been billed to Ben Avenue, and Ben Avenue.
You did good speaking over that. I don't know how that's involved.
And Ben Avenue in turn invoices the other two municipalities, and those bills we pay, it's not been an issue. But the reason I mention it to you now is, as we get close to finishing it up, we might actually be imposing more hours, more of the solicitor's hours in actually writing amendments to the ordinance. I want you to be aware of that.
Is that something you're going to ask that will be input on?
Yes.
Because I know there's some issues that we may be interested in adding certain sections of that as well.
Yes.
If you're going to do it once, it's probably the time, but just sit down and have me and the council take a look at that one.
Yeah, I've directed her to get in touch with you when she gets to the point where
She's
that's something
starting to fine tune, yeah.
Yeah. But there is an arrangement that all three municipalities have agreed to, whereby each year the solicitor rotates. The solicitor who represents the planning commission rotates among the three boroughs. What has been happening for various reasons, I don't know, it's really none of my business, but we've had the same person from year to year acting. I guess you'd call it by policy. I think this is Bellevue's year right now, for instance, but your predecessor asked her to continue on because he was to, whatever the reason, there were nobody questioned why. It's communication among the solicitors, I believe, of the solicitor.
Well, I mean, I did ask about that because I didn't feel that we had our rotation turn, as you know, I emailed you about that. Because I would like for that to be looked at, because I don't feel that, you know, our solicitor has had the input. And then also, is there a need to have have lawyer representation there on a monthly basis? Because that adds up to costs for all of us. And yes, I can see a need for that, but do we need to have a monthly representation?
No, in fact, no. She only shows up when we ask her to, or when she has something to tell us.
Okay.
She's not there.
She's not there on a monthly basis. But I do believe we should be looking at, you know, Bellevue having their opportunity. We are also the largest municipality in the tri-boroughs, and we haven't had that representation. So I'd like for that to be done.
Okay, that's fine. There are things you can talk about. I've also, it's been pointed out to me that there may be things that I task solicitor with to be handled by municipal staff instead, or officially, or
We need to look at that.
and make sure you're aware of what those are as well. Okay, that's really all in the report.
Anybody have any questions for Scott? Any more questions? Oh. We do appreciate it. Thank you for coming. And hopefully we'll see you every so often. It'd be nice to get an update every once in a while.
Well, in lieu of distributing minutes, which I think have been quite sparse, I'd like to have somebody here
And we appreciate it.
just to give you a report on some regular basis.
And we appreciate your coming and updating us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Committee chair reports. Finance, Chair of Finance, Ms. Casey.
I'd like to let you know that I'm going to be reading the revised version of the minutes tonight because there were some errors on the old one. This is a motion. I'm not going to read each one of these, but you can read them. These have all been corrected on here. I move to amend the 2013 resolution numbers as follows. And they're all listed there and they're all corrected.
Council, any questions? What happened is that Ann notified me, if you saw in your packet, that the resolution numbers were actually approved properly, but whenever she added them on, for some reason, there was a clerical error and the numbers were incorrectly numbered. So she wanted to know how to correct those, and, originally I thought, because they were already approved properly, she could probably just wipe them out and put the numbers on, but I thought for transparency purposes, and just so the council was aware of what happened and the public was aware, so that there were no questions, we should do it through a formal motion. So that's all it says, it's correcting the numbers to properly reflect how they were approved.
And do we have a second for that?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to amend the 2013 resolutions as follows: 0313, 0413, 0513, 0613, 0713, 0813, 0913, 1013, 1113, 1213, and 1313, and 1513. Any questions on the motion? No questions? All those in favor say aye. Nays? No nays? I'm assuming we don't need to do a roll call. No one? Okay. Motion passes. Any other questions for our Chair of Finance? Okay, thank you, Sue. Parks and Recreation, our Chair is Jim Siciliani.
Jane's already given a good report on the 4th of July. Don't forget that. There's a motion on the floor. The one you see there is already been covered.
Can we just have a motion to authorize the use of the pool by the Bellevue Elementary PTO on Sunday, August 18th, 2013, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m.?
Yes.
for the actual pool. Okay.
There's no difference, so it's not making any fees. They're doing it off hours.
Yeah, it's not about the favor.
They're doing it off hours.
I don't see how.
And you got volunteers to do the rest.
Solicitor, are we doing the rest?
Yeah, you're fine. No, it's 6 hours, there's no fee being charged, right? And they're handling all the refreshments.
They're handling
So I think it's at no cost to them, no cost to the borough.
Well, we have to know them to
To cover
cover
it.
the costs, right? Okay, thank you for your
Previously, it wasn't the Bellevue PTO, though, it was Bellevue sixth grade parents, it was a separate organization, isn't that true? Yeah.
Right.
It's not really, that group is a separate group from the Bellevue PTO.
Okay,
It's
so-
usually called Bellevue sixth grade parents,
Sixth grade.
just so.
Can we correct that? Say, if you authorize the use of the pool for the Bellevue sixth grade parents for Sunday, August 18th, from 6:30 to 8:30. Thank you for that correction. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Nays? It's not costing us anything, so there are no nays, the motion passes. Jim?
A motion to authorize Quaker Valley Park Leisure Escape Plaza payment number 3 for invoices of QB 008 and QB 009 to Swan Ranch.
Second.
For $33,735.62. Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to authorize the Quaker Valley Club to issue Escape Plaza Payment 3 for the invoices QV 008 and QV 009 to Spawn Ranch for $33,735.62. Discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Browne? Mr. Camello? Mrs. Coder? Ms. Heffley? Mr. Huntley? Mr. Sisiani? Mrs. Viscusi? Mr. Viscusi? Mrs. Washington?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, move to authorize HP Star Lumber Company LLC to perform improvements on the work to the library cabinets.
For $10,676.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to authorize HP Star Lumber Company LLC to perform improvements to work on the library cabinets for $10,676. Discussion on the motion?
Well, I don't know if the wording is that good, I mean, does that matter? It's really just to supply new cabinets, they're not doing any work for us. So, they're doing work to create the cabinets, but that's a manufacturing thing, so to supply cabinets is more accurate.
Okay.
But if you know, if they say this is fine, it's fine, it's kind of.
Yeah, because it's,
Yeah, I thought they were, the way I read it, I thought they were willing to work on signature. They're actually, they're producing.
Yeah, the cost of production,
Yeah.
reduce the cabinets.
reduce library cabinets. Can we change that to authorize HP Star Lumber Company LLC to produce the library pediments at a cost of $10,676?
Second.
Somebody so moved.
Second.
Okay, and then second. Any discussion on the motion? Kathy?
Line items for this, where it's coming from?
This was, in fact, this was already approved for $10,000 last year. So all we're taking, that's a good point, is $676. So where do you know where we're taking it from?
I do not know the line, I apologize. I'll get that to everyone in their.
And the same for the last one we did too.
Well, that's already too, that's,
Yeah,
That-
but we always
that
have a
is
line
paying.
item, isn't that traditionally how we've done it?
yeah, but the COG pays for that. So, because this came from a
Okay.
grant, so that would have a line.
So we didn't get the money, the COG got the money?
Yeah, the COG, yeah, because the COG is actually paying it because it comes from a grant. Okay, so we'll get that information. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Browne? Mr. Camello? Mrs. Coder? Ms. Heffley? Mr. Huntley? Mr. Sisiani?
prices for the month of August 2013.
Okay. And a motion has been made and seconded to allow the discount rate for pool passes as of August 1st, 2013. Discussion on the motion? Okay, no discussion. All those in favor say aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Brunlich? Mr. Camello? Mrs. Coder? Ms. Heffley? Mr. Helbling? Mr. Skiziani? Mrs. Viscusi? Mr. Viscusi? Mrs. Washburn? Motion carries.
I just want to remind the Parks and Recs Committee about the Tree Vitalize, the Shade Tree Commission, and the tree ordinance, so that we can be prepared to discuss it and have something together, because we really have to get this done in the next couple of months. So July, you can all be prepared.
Could you put that on the Parks and Recs next meeting?
And they all receive copies, if they can have a reminder to bring them or ask for other copies printed off. Any other questions for our commission?
Yeah, we have a request for field passes. I have them here. Frank, are you aware of who they go to?
Yeah, I can take care of it.
Did you deliver them?
Yeah,
Okay.
just give them the thank you.
And we were kind enough, we had a donor for that as well. So I thank the anonymous donor, it's very much appreciated.
For Parks and Rec, last week we talked about the problems at Bay Park. Chief Sentner had forwarded us sign ideas. Are we going to discuss that and move on at this one? Or is that something that council doesn't have to approve? Did you get those by email?
Okay, we discussed signage, about, want to explain.
Well, it says, here's some examples of the sign. Report out problems in Bay Park, down 911. They were just obviously in different colors. But there was also just how it was worded. It shows the little cell phone.
You have to decide where you're going to put those all, right?
No,
I thought it was just pretty much,
Is that just information or we need a motion?
Well, I just don't want it for another whole month. Like, is this something we need to
and
add
it's
on
summer,
tonight?
Some
Mark.
Well,
Morgan.
I didn't, my email got shut off and switched to another one, I forgot to tell everybody that. So, I didn't get that, but I didn't get to see them, and there's no choice, you're saying it's just the color's choice versus words?
Yes, I mean, it's basically, these are the two, and they come in different colors. That's basically what the two choices are.
Could you pass it down?
Sure.
So, do we want to just go through the sign?
Yes, you know what, we have to purchase these signs too. So,
Your suggestion, would these signs be a little vivid in color so that they can be picked up instead of lost and shuffled the rest of them?
One email, one was black and yellow, one was red, one was green. The chief did, unfortunately, I don't have a color printer, so I don't know.
So that they didn't, so the color didn't blend into the background.
Right.
So they don't even see it.
go ahead, Mark.
Well, maybe I'm being too picky, but I kind of really don't like this one, but
Which one
I
do you
was
want?
hoping, well, there's only one, and I mean, it's a start, but I think our objective was to kind of let people know this is your, kind of encourage them to do it. This just says report all problems at Bain Park. That could, to me, that might mean the water fountain's not working. So we're talking about behavior.
You know what, I think it was.
Being a little more specific,
That said, infractions, yeah, and I maybe that didn't turn out.
I mean, it kind of like,
The chief was just asking for ideas, I just
Yeah.
don't want this to die.
yeah.
I want to see if we needed to move on.
Could we approve it with pending like a revised sign? Would you do that? Revised wording? Yeah, we can email everybody, see.
Jane, you have
actions on it, if the wording on that could be reduced.
Well, maybe this is the next one.
Those
Yeah.
are just,
Huh?
they were the chief's ideas that he forwarded.
Yep.
So,
We did talk about, I thought we were gonna do the signs along with talking with the skaters, which there was an email, that the chief forwarded about that as well, so. This was just one part, one possible solution.
Are these, all violations, are they down where the skate plaza is, or are they up in a park where the playground is? It seems some of the complaints, the, people have children with them, so I'm wondering if it's not, because like I said, reported, I drove past the skate plaza, and I really don't hear vulgar language as such. Usually what I'll hear is someone helping someone. And I'm not defending the skaters.
No, we talked about that last week. We're not saying it's just the skate park. We're talking about the general behavior out there. We're not targeting the skaters at all.
There is a small group that gets up there, about 8 or 10, they're putting calm down and street.
Jane?
Yeah, well, the other question that was brought up last week, when the chief said there was 133,
They visited the park in May and June 130 times.
130 times, so if you break that into how many times are they actually there, that would break down to 2 times a day. That's not nearly enough. If you know that's where your core problems are, then that's where you should be patrolling. Not just showing up when they're called, show up when you're not called, when you're just walking past. And it should be more than just 2 times a day. It should be- So that's another issue that this council really should have to deal with. That you should, maybe they should be up there 5 times a day. I mean, the park's closed at, it's dark. So maybe one time at midnight to make sure everybody's up there, but during the hours that it's there, they should be there about 5 times. Now, not just call. So that's not enough time, 2 days at times.
And how many of those were because they were called?
Yeah.
Mark and then Kathy.
I was excused before.
Okay, Kathy?
Just a couple of things. Where are we on the cameras?
That's what he mentioned, and so at this point, I mean, we're waiting for phase 3 of the skate plaza for the cameras. Someone did mention to him about looking for some grant money, and he said that he would do that. So we're very preliminary on cameras, but I agree with you. I think cameras, at least, I don't know if they have sound, but, so at least that would help to a certain extent, but it's not going to totally rectify it.
But can we look into it to see how much money it is? Because we've spent money on other things that I don't think are as important as this problem. If it is a problem, I think this would really help. And then the police, from what I understand, can monitor this from downstairs.
Yes,
So
yes.
even though they might not be there physically, they can see what's going on and be aware of it. And the other thing, my husband and I walked over there the other night, and they didn't know who we were, and we're just sitting there. And I also agree with Jim, there was no problem with the skaters. They were having a good time, young, old. But the rules, when are those getting posted?
The rules for,
The skate plaza.
I thought they were already there.
There's nothing there that I saw. And the other thing, I don't know if we have this on the rules, but the only issue we saw is smoking when they're skating. And I think we should have no smoking on the plaza because there are little children there and the older kids are smoking. So if we don't have that on the rules, I would suggest we put that on there.
I think we need to look at the rules. Can you use those for us? And that would be, to go to the Parks and Recreation Committee. I agree. Oh my gosh, that is so dangerous.
Well, and it's also a bad example. They're looking at these kids smoking and
Yeah, but you can have a cigarette and hit somebody in the eye, or, I mean, that to me is very dangerous.
Is there a copy of these rules?
We do have a copy of the rules, and I thought that we had authorized the sign a long time ago.
There was a sign.
Oh, there was a sign?
There was, I think, originally. The only thing, the sign was with the bikes and skaters. That was always an issue. Them doing it at the same time, that's the
problem is, if we already have a sign now, we're putting another sign for smoking, but that to me is, I mean, this is a children's plaza, and children's smoking, that's,
Yeah.
If they're underage, they should be stopped.
is there an age that you can smoke? Is that legal?
18.
18. Some of these kids are not really kids. I know the ones that came up asking for the skate plaza, they were in their 20s and older, so they're not all kids. They may look young. Mark, you have your hand
Well,
up?
so I'm a little confused. Can we just order a sign that no smoking on?
Oh, just, okay.
And then we have the rules when missing somewhere, maybe it'll come up. Rather than redo a whole long one, it would probably be more money.
Well, we have to look to see if we still have that sign there.
But they could duplicate it because they already have a template for it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so Parks and Recs are gonna look at that, and, can Parks and Recs authorize something like that? Can we authorize them
We
to?
can certainly bring it to council. Yeah, or agree.
Jane, you have a-
I'm not sure about this. That might have to come.
Oh, because it has to be through ordinance, because it's a law, laws and ordinances.
But, the other thing is it's called 911, and that can come to the committee, if you don't like that picture,
well,
because it's going to be something that's going to be up there.
Yeah.
So if we got a different color or a different font to it, say now.
well,
Bring it to public safety, and we can make them like that. That's too.
no, I'd rather not wait. I'd rather get them because we need them. I mean, all I'm saying is, and this is just my personal opinion, was this says report all problems in Park, so maybe again, I'm being too particular, but my idea was encourage people to sort of like, it's your park, you know, report all problems, something like that. I've seen that in other parks, you know, it's your park, you know, and identifying that, hey, take some responsibility for this place.
Yeah, but like you said, call 911, what happened if it's just,
Well, we already talked about it.
what happened?
No, we talked about all that all last week. That's the only number that we could call. That's
No, I'm talking about like water fountains.
Oh, well then, yeah.
So, do you want to word it different?
Can we,
What color do you want?
can a couple of us just be designated to talk this over and then get it to council in the next 2
Well,
days?
it's public, will you take it to public safety?
No, I'm saying, can you approve it tonight to get this signed? And we'll just, pending some new work. Yeah, so we can go get a date before we.
Contingent on, contingent on what?
Final word. No, I don't want to, what I'm trying to say is I don't want to wait till.
You want to pass
I'm
it
saying
now?
it's just, yeah,
And then
it's
show
just, and then we'll just get it, and then pass, we'll email everybody, make sure they approve of what we're gonna get ready. Does that make sense? If I did it with Lynn or something, and then you got, whoever else wants to put
But
together.
again, we can have this at Parks and pass it the same night.
That's what I'm trying to say, we want to do it.
You want to do it now?
Yeah.
You want to make a motion to do it now?
Right, so we're just approving the sign. Okay, thank you.
Wait a minute,
Do I get a second?
Second.
I mean, come on, motion that we do it now. Come on, okay, wait a minute here. Let me see here, let's get some wording. Can we have a motion to, now what are we on? We are on authorize the purchase of signs for Main Park and not contingent upon final wording as agreed by council. Okay, can someone say so moved?
So moved.
Second? Okay, that motion has been made and seconded. Discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Thank you. For the record, that's comment number 451.24 matter. Mrs. Browning. Mr. Camello. Mrs. Coder. Ms. Heffley. Mr. Hellman. Mr. Suziani. Mrs. Viscusi. Mr. Viscusi. Mrs. Washington.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good job, guys. Okay, anything else for Parks and Recreation? Okay, thank you, Jim. Public Works, Chair is Jim Vescusi. There's nothing, any questions for Public Works? Lynn?
I was just wondering where we're at with the DPW supervisor, interviews or deadlines or anything like that.
Where are we? can do that. So you say within a month you'll be able to do that? Okay, any other questions for our Chair of Public Works? Kathy?
How did we come up with the pool of people to interview?
It was advertised as well as posted on the website. There were, I guess, approximately 15 resumes that were reviewed by Whitney. Whitney separated them into qualified and unqualified, identifying, I believe, about 5 candidates in the qualified area. Those are the people we need to talk to.
Okay, do we all know who those 5 people were?
Yeah, we got, don't get your given to us.
Well,
I didn't-
right, I didn't see.
Yeah, I didn't get it either, but probably
I can
anyone who has a
get those
public
into
works.
the boxes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Public Works? Okay, thank you, Jim. Public Safety Chair, Jane Bronner.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, any questions for Jane? No questions? Thank you, Jane. Any special committee reports? No special committee reports. Resolutions. We have 3 resolutions. Do we have a motion for Resolution 1413? What? What did I say?
No, the numbers on the resolutions, I'm working on 2 agendas and 2 revised agendas. The one resolution is 1313, 1613, 1513. In my hand, I have 13, 14, 15, and 16. On the other agenda, it's 14, 17, and 16. Do I go by what's in my hand? I have 13 for real estate, 14 for real estate, 15 for the wet water, and 16 for real estate.
Okay, but there's a revised agenda. Do you have a revised one for 7, the one that's highlighted revised?
Yeah, so I have 13,
14, 13.
and 15. So I just throw
I do not have a 15 on mine.
That's because 15 is.
It's part of the advertising for it, so it can't be, yeah.
Okay, so, okay, no, it's correct, Jane. So the first one is 1413 on the real estate tax refund. The first one is 14, what is on the revised is correct, 14, 13, 17, 13.
Okay.
14, 17, and 16, 13. Okay, do we have a motion for resolution 1413?
I make a motion to approve resolution 1413 for real estate taxes.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to approve resolution 1413, authorizing the real estate tax refunds for specific properties as provided by the real estate tax collector. Questions, comments on the motion? Okay, no comments? What, Jay?
But my 16th is not the weather, it is the real estate.
Please go by the numbers on the agenda.
Okay.
Directions on the copy.
Right in the notes.
Okay, so we have to correct on the actual. Okay, we will correct the resolution. Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Brundage. Mr. Camello. Mrs. Coder. Ms. Heffley. Mr. Hubble. Mr. Cesiani. Mrs. Viscusi. Mr. Viscusi. Mrs. Washburn.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you for being so thorough. I appreciate that.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I do.
Everybody does.
Okay, the second motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution 1713 for real estate taxes.
Okay, second. A motion has been made and seconded to approve resolution number 1713, also authorizing the real estate tax refunds for specific properties as provided by the real estate tax collector. Discussion on the motion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Brundage. Mr. Camello. Mrs. Coder. Ms. Heffley. Mr. Hubble. Mr. Hubble. Mr. Cesiani. Mrs. Viscusi. Mr. Viscusi. Mrs. Washburn. Motion carries.
Okay, third resolution.
I'd like to make a motion for resolution
1613. Okay, do we have a second? Okay, motion has been made and seconded to approve resolution number 1613, acknowledging the borough's current preferred alternative relative to the wet weather plan. And that's what our engineer talked about. Discussion on the motion? Any no discussion? All those in favor say aye. All nays? Okay, no nays? Is that considered money?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah, I know, that's a scary. Okay, we're on ordinances, and let me correct the first ordinance. This is to introduce for the first reading to adopt the vacant storefront ordinance. Do we have, can somebody introduce that?
I'd like to make a motion to introduce the vacant storefront.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded, so no, we don't do that, just an introduction. Okay, the second one, no, but when we introduce, it's just an introduction, nobody votes or anything.
No discussion.
We discussed this at the last meeting.
Each time
The
it
way
comes
we've
up,
been
there should
holding
be
it is to
discussion.
discuss it at the third reading before. I mean,
Yeah,
if
we
you
know.
want to discuss it.
I mean, if you want to, we can certainly.
Isn't that the purpose, though, of having two readings, so people can discuss it, and then the third reading is really when it's to be passed?
You can either do it that way, or you can see it as the readings are used to give notice to the public as to what's being introduced, and then you only have one discussion. I mean, if you want to discuss it 3 times, you can. Personally, I think it's more productive to discuss it once, and then I vote it up or vote it down. But if you want to discuss it each time, you can, certainly.
Well, we discussed it at pre-council. Do we really want to get into this now?
Well,
Okay, go ahead.
were you next?
No, I'm done.
Well, as in anything, the more you get time to think about it, the more something happens, something comes up, you get a new thought. So my concern with these fees, and I think I've talked to you guys about that. So if we have concern of these fees, or maybe general consensus would have, most of you would have concern about these, do we have to go back to committee to revise this, or hopefully revise
When
it?
I was here last month, or last meeting, what's your concern about the
Well, we didn't talk about the fees, because at that time I wasn't thinking of all aspects of it.
Okay.
Well, one of the things it is sort of,
Maybe I could just shortcut this real quick. What we could do is we could just do, I'm not sure how we did it with this math or do it again, but we can set the fees by resolution. So you can pass an ordinance without a fee structure and just do a resolution to approve the fees. And that actually makes it easier because then you can adjust your fees as needed by resolution rather than having to go through the whole procedure of amending your ordinance. So I think we could do that for the next reading. I could just adjust that section to do it as established by resolution. Then you guys in committee or whatever, we pass it. If it passes, then you can discuss it. We can adopt a resolution establishing the fees. If you want to do it that way.
No, I
Okay,
mean,
but is that how we want to do it? Does anyone else have a problem with the fees?
well, can I explain why I have a problem with these, that way we can think about it?
Go ahead.
One, it's punishing someone that's probably trying to rent something anyway, is already struggling, possibly, okay, pretty most likely they're struggling to get the place rented. Two, if you put a fee on there, if you're just a everyday landlord that doesn't care, then they're gonna hurry up and rent it to anybody. And then, we're gonna get things that we don't want. So that's something you have to take into consideration, is you're slamming, technically we're slamming somebody for not having their place rented. So there's 2 bad things that can come out. So that's my 2 points. There's more points than that, I think, but those 2 are very important.
Does anybody have a comment on that? Okay, let me comment on that. First of all, if the property owner is making an effort to rent the establishment, there is no fine or penalty. What we want people to make an effort. That means possibly advertising. Craigslist costs nothing, and that's where I do my advertising, both commercial and residential, so there's no cost there. They could have a sign in their window. There are ways of doing it that are very inexpensive. What we're trying to do is make sure that people do not have an establishment there and it's just sitting there without any kind of effort. And in how many of them I see paper on the window easier to rent at least office commercial. I don't have retail. But if someone is making an effort, this particular ordinance does not punish anyone who is making that effort.
Well, just in response to you.
Sure.
So it would have to be very clear what we define an effort as in this ordinance. So to make that effort, it's subjective, and so what it is.
It's not subjective, okay?
Well,
Okay, but hold on, did you read this? Waiver fees, a waiver may be granted for the current year for following conditions met. All municipal fees are paid in full. A good faith effort is shown to rent, sell, or lease the space. Good faith effort includes contracts with realtors, newspaper ads, window signs, or other methods provided. The effort is actually likely to generate interest in the property and the owner is actually willing to rent, sell, or lease. Pricing is consistent with other similar buildings and the building is in compliance with the Borough Code's ordinance and is habitable. Okay, so here it is. I mean, other methods provided, Craigslist, free.
I apologize, that's clearer than I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, how much more clear can we be? I mean, what does it take to put a window sign? And of course, they want a professional one, so you go to the store and they have 4 red signs, and you put a number in there. That's as minimal as that. What would you?
And you said that Aetna got this, we connect is recommended?
Yes, I did. When I attended a Connect meeting, the manager for Aetna had brought this up months ago, and I said that I wanted to have a copy of it. So Aetna has already passed this a year ago, and I don't know if any other communities have, but that meeting that I attended, I was not the only one that had an interest in this particular ordinance. What we're trying to do is not punish anybody. We're trying to ensure that people aren't having storefronts that are there with brown paper on their windows, and it's just sitting there with no effort, and then it just makes our business district look bad. And I believe that that discourages businesses from coming in. I mean, if you ride through and you see all these vacant storefronts, it looks like, geez, is this a place I really want to be? But they can take and they can decorate the windows. I believe that the car dealership has paintings in their, I guess they own a vacant storefront, and they have paintings in there for someone. So you could have a business that would like to put a display in there, and it looks nice. I mean, and if you go to malls and outlets, you do not see brown paper on their windows. You see a nice display. And I can't see why we can't have that in our borough.
I agree. So, I mean, I agree. I know there's a good side. I just want to be cautious.
Any other questions on that ordinance? Okay. Let's see here, where were we? Okay, our next one is, now this one here is for the second reading. It has one here, tabling for the second reading. Do we have a motion to table for the second reading?
I'd like to make a motion to move from the table for the second reading, the dumpster ordinance.
Okay, we have a second. A motion has been made and seconded to take from the table for the second reading to adopt the dumpster ordinance, which shall adopt regulations concerning the screening of garbage dumpsters. Okay. And we have to vote on that, right, to take from the table? No, you don't vote? Okay. Okay. Nobody wants to comment on that? I mean, technically, we don't discuss on taking from the table, but
Maybe I can make a comment on that.
sure.
A few years ago, I had the county health department in on some of the businesses that had problems with their dumpsters by not screening, not taking care of them. That's when we had that problem.
Okay, so you see this as a good ordinance then? Okay, the third ordinance, this is the first, so this is to introduce the ordinance to adopt regulations to establish rules for the Bellevue Dogwoods Park.
I'd like to make a motion to move from the table.
Okay, so question about that, do we have to take this to Ross Township as well? Because I think we had that discussion,
Yes.
because if someone would sue us, we had this discussion, right?
Yeah.
And we wanted to run it by Ross and have them approve it as well, so all our bases are covered, right? We're gonna be, because the park is in Ross
I was
Township.
saying Ross.
Right.
Yeah, but what we discussed at the pre-council meeting, at the last meeting, we're going to pass it, and then we're then going to take it to Ross
Okay,
Township.
all right.
Yeah, yeah, we discussed that last meeting. Anything else on that? Okay. Any old business? Mark?
So just to refresh on what used to be called the pawn shop orders, is that going to be talked about again in committee to revise it at all?
The mayor vetoed it, it's up and down, but we can bring it out and try to remove his veto, or just die, that's what we did, that's it. The community will not have pawn shop ordinance.
If it does, you could always reintroduce it,
Yeah,
if you want to make changes, but as it stands right now, mayor vetoed that ordinance.
If you reintroduce it, you have to do a whole process of advertising and all that, so.
Or we can vote to override the veto,
Override the veto.
and we would need 6 votes for that override.
That's called absolute power. I think 6 votes instead of 5. So if anybody wants to bring it on.
Wouldn't this have to be put on the agenda previously?
No,
After his veto, he has to veto by the next meeting of your own charter, so you have to override this meeting by 6 votes.
So there's
Because you need 2/3.
a day, then what is it, 40, 41 days?
45 days.
45?
Now, can we make a change to that ordinance? If we,
It depends on what the change is. If it's a material change, it would have to go back through and be reintroduced.
so the
If it's
amount of
a
time,
clerical or non-substantive amendment, then you can amend it, but depends on what you want to do, and depends on what you want to change.
okay.
We can amend it without going back to the original.
You can't make substantive change now.
Jane?
Yeah, I want to make this absolutely clear that this ordinance was the chief's ordinance. These were the things he wanted to see in an ordinance. So that's what you usually go to, you go to your chief or your DAS or your code enforcement, like with the dumpster and the screening, actually. We had to look at it and said, is this what you like? Do you like this? And then we took it back to committee because the 45 days, the community thought was too much. So we took it to 30, just like the city of Pittsburgh. Now, the only thing that's different with our ordinance, we actually call it pawn shop. We could call it precious metals, we can call it Joe's ordinance, or selling products, but some people didn't like that, it was called pawn shop. Now, if you look around Bellevue, you have a lot of business popping up right next to Pizza Monte. They sell all kinds of stuff, and they just bought big signs. council ordinance that I think that should fit in this community and could fit to this community. And once again, if you get, your stuff stolen from you know, from a front, you're not going to prosecute. You want to have a fighting chance of getting it back. So, and that's what this is. This ordinance is actually for the residents of not just our community, but Northside, Diana, or Adams, wherever this stuff is coming in from. I can't believe that somebody's going to lose business because of buying second-hand products.
Well, I think that was described pretty well. How it can happen. I mean, that's pretty clear how it can happen if you know business at all. But the thing is, but we can make exception to certain types of merchants with the 10 days, what we were talking about that night. And you might not be able to see it, but the first step would be to understand it. So then you'll see it, that it's very possible to lose money that way, very difficult. It's very clear, and even in, Mr. Feller's explanations were very clear how it's possible, how more than possible it's going to cause a loss. So in this case, that's what I'm saying, is the chief sort of amended his original statements from the public safety to the discussion we were in, and felt that that was strongly a good idea to do the 10 days in this case.
You said no.
Just to clarify, though, we had it in committee, it came to the floor, then there was discussion, like Jane said, changes were made. We took it back to public safety. The chief said nothing at that point, and we asked nothing. And 3 days later, a letter came out with all these new ideas. I think that's where some people were surprised. This was after it had been discussed, the second. But here nor there, it's dead right now. So either someone makes a motion to override it, or it's dead and we move on.
I have a couple of actually. This is pawn shop. These stores are buying gold and probably everything else. We've got the cell phone stores that are buying and selling DVDs and different things. Would this ordinance cover these types of stores?
Okay, everybody's they're hung up on the name of the ordinance. Okay, I don't know how we got the name pawn shop ordinance, I'm not on that committee, but you're getting hung up on the name. And if you go into that particular ordinance, and I don't know if I have mine with me, it describes the type of business that would be under that. And I don't, does anybody have a copy of that particular ordinance? Here it is. Okay, it's a pawn shop or second-hand dealer, a person who willfully or partially engages in or operates in the trade or business of buying and selling used goods, including but not limited to precious stones, precious metals, jewelry, tools, electrical devices, fixtures, appliances, automobile accessories, tires, household goods, firearms, coins, trading cards, and all other used items that are purchased, salvaged, traded, or received from any person. So, yes, it would cover those people.
What if buying at a gold shop, buying gold, and buying everything else, and you say it's a pawn shop? Because I'm not a pawn shop.
Forget the name. If you don't like the name pawn shop, use second-hand or something. We technically don't even have a pawn shop in Bellevue. That was a name identified by it in the committee. How it came about, I have no idea. But it defines pawn shop or second-hand
some specific things in the ordinance for people who would have cameras and are, that type of thing, that they wouldn't have to wait that long. If you read this letter, this man has gone above and beyond to try to cooperate with the police. And now what's going to happen is they know this is going on in Bellevue, so they're going to go to Avalon or McKnight Road, and it's going out of, let's say they stole it in Bellevue, like your jewelry, they're going to go to McKnight Road, and there's nobody even having security cameras. At least he's doing something that you catch them on camera, you see who it is. So is there any way to protect him and people like him who are trying to cooperate and do it right versus put everybody in that pot?
Well, the thing is come up with something that will do what you're asking. I mean, you need to come up with something. It's nice to say, hey, can we do it? Come up with a suggestion.
So you're saying if I go and talk to the chief and we come up with some wording and anybody else wants to, and then we bring it to Matt, that people would entertain that?
Well, you take it to the public safety committee and,
Right now, this ordinance is dead. So
The
we
ordinance
can
is
go
that,
back to
that's
public
not started
safety.
over, but yeah, we
Right.
can always make changes and reintroduce, absolutely. Like, if you wanna work, you and the chief come up with something that if certain precautions are taken, that the time limit is less or something like that, I'm sure we may be able to come up with something like
So
that.
it can be rewritten and brought.
Yeah, we just started that, it died, it's dead.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
but I like that, certain precautions, because we don't have just one business, okay? We're only hearing from one business, but we've got 6 or 7 that we know of.
But if they all go to this extent and they have parameters, then, but not everybody's going to do that.
Okay, so we're going to put in an extra, since Mr. Fode is getting video cameras and maybe voice cameras, we should put in there so when somebody goes into the antique shop, they should have video and voice cameras before they even sell them. That kind of thing, it's going to,
No, that's not what she said.
Yeah.
So,
I know,
it
rewards
something negotiated, done.
It's like a reward system for taking extra precautions, like if you do X, Y, and Z, then you only have to wait X time, but if you don't do X, Y, and Z, then you have to wait Y time. I can tweak some language to it if you want, I can work with you and we can try and come up with something and then run it through committee or something like that if you want.
Hey, Jim.
Council wants, I guess, if they want to directly do that.
Why can't we do this? Why can't we have them reword it, write up the new ordinance? Why can't we have the 3 readings in one night?
Because there ain't no emergency to this ordinance. It doesn't matter if it goes at all. It really, at this point.
We do it in really a month. If you do it in August for the first reading, then in September we can do the 2 readings.
Yeah.
So we're doing it in a month's period of time. It's a short period of time.
Because
So.
we seem
Last
anxious to
week, we
get it
talked
through.
about the talking with the chief, and then pretty much it going back to public safety to see what we could work on. I thought that's kind of where this stood,
Well,
unless the ordinance, unless the veto was overturned. I thought you specifically asked Mr. Fode to talk with the chief, and then the chief, we were all going to talk with public safety. I thought that's kind of where this was.
no, what I had said.
No, it did go there.
I'm just saying, that was.
No, but what I had said is, give me an idea of what you're looking for, what you want. And I don't believe I got any day specific in any of the letters, okay? And then I would disperse it amongst all of us, so, but it still starts, it still has to go to public safety. That's the committee that oversees this, so,
And we have to start all over again. The advertising and.
but if we're making a better ordinance, what's the difference? There's no hurry.
Well, in a way there is, this is a man's livelihood.
Well, what else?
But
But
no,
so
it's dead.
it isn't involving him at all.
So nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
No, because it doesn't care.
It's okay.
I didn't know he could get it. Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, it's dead.
It's dead.
It's dead.
Council.
It's all in the-
mayor should have never even been able to do his veto to this ordinance. So
Don't get me on the mayor.
don't go up or down on an ordinance unless you know what's in it.
That's true, 7 of us didn't vote for it, so. Okay, any other old business? Now I gotta find my agenda. Okay. Any other old business? No, nobody, Mark? No? Okay. Any new business, Mark?
I don't know if you did this while I was gone on vacation, but the chamber was asking if you would, if the council would sponsor paying for the ad in the Citizen for Sidewalk Holidays. Right, I thought before I went, we did that before, pretty sure we remember us doing that before.
We build,
I'm sorry, yes,
Oh, you make Bill chamber, but.
we built the chamber, I have no knowledge of any other financial.
So that's a request from the chamber.
I know, but we discussed this, and
I'm just,
this has already been discussed at a prior meeting,
and
so.
not for it, is that what you're saying?
Exactly, because, I mean, we have so many requests that if you do it for one, you have to do it for all. We have never, the only time I remember us paying part of it, that's what I remember, but nobody else remembers, for the Christmas, for what we call the light up night or the Christmas thing, and that's also a borough event. So it's chamber and borough, so of course, that's why we're pushing it.
Okay.
Jim?
With National Night Out on August 6th, that came to the council meeting another day.
We've already done that. We did that December 21st. We did that on Election Day. Those are Wednesday meetings for, I think they're both council, I think. Whatever it is, it was advertised, December 21st. That's taken care of. Any other new business? Kathy?
Yeah, as you noticed, I haven't been at meetings, and it's not because I'm sitting at home watching TV, I'm actually working. And I would like to request, and I'm not sure if I go through Ron or the finance committee, that we get some equipment that I can call in, and people can call in and be heard at the meetings, because I have gone to great lengths to be at these meetings, only to get disconnected, I can't get on the calls, and people can't hear. So who would I go through to do that?
That would be finance. Will we add that to the finance committee?
It's not expensive, I've looked into it, it's a couple $100.
Okay, can you give us that information so that we can discuss it? Okay, any other new business? Okay. Public contribution, are there any visitors who wish to speak? If you can step up to the podium, state your name and address, write it on the register, and you have 2 minutes.
Connie Rankin, Orange Avenue. On the pre-council agenda for this meeting, you have a motion about the dog swim. I noticed that has disappeared in the past week, and no such motion has been made.
I'd like to make a motion for the.
Didn't we pass that?
No, there was no vote on it. You guys just talked about it, but it was supposed to come from the vote tonight, and I noticed it disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, do
So,
I
for once, I actually do something ahead of time.
Okay, I need wording for that,
Right here. Just move to authorize Bellevue Dolphins Association to use the Memorial Pool on Ridge Day for their annual dog swim programs.
Okay, that's a motion, seconded, okay, motion has been made and seconded, discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Nays? No money, so, okay. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, any other contribution? because bicycles, I think, were 12 and under as well. Yeah, so we went along with that, but we can get 18. I'd like to see 18 as well, but
Is there enforcement for, is there a sign or anything that says?
it's enforceable because it's the ordinance, I believe. I think we did an ordinance on that.
It's on those rules that we can't find.
No, we can find it, we just don't have them here. But as long as it's an ordinance, then it is enforceable.
I had someone come to me and they asked me what was in the comfortable because they saw some children down and they were surprised at the tricks they can do. And they said, geez, what if someone, what if someone was getting hurt? They didn't seem to learn helmets. And I don't know what their ages were.
See, that's the thing, I mean, how can you look at a child and know exactly how old they are? So, and if you ask them, and they know they're supposed to be wearing a helmet, they're really going to tell you the true
Yeah,
age.
they said,
They don't have driver's licenses, and, you're welcome. Any other visitors who wish to speak? Okay, no other visitors. Do we have a motion